It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Rob Corliss, Editor-in-Chief of Maple Transactions. So he is Emeritus Distinguished University Professor at Western University, a member of the Rotman Institute of Philosophy, and a member of the Ontario Research Centre for Computer Algebra. Rob's primary research interests are computational linear and polynomial algebra, computational dynamical systems, and computational special functions. And he's been doing a lot with Bohemian matrices in the past years. He has collaborated and published widely. He has been involved with Maple and the Maple community possibly longer than anyone else in this session, and I am also happy to call him a good friend. He is here to talk to you about Maple transactions. If you have any questions, please add them to the chat, and Rob will address them either during the talk or at the end. So please go ahead, Rob.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Paulina, and thanks to everybody for coming to listen about Maple transactions. Maple transactions is now coming up 5 years old. In February next year, it will be 5 years old, and we're thinking of having a little celebratory party at some point in the new year. So watch this space for that sort of thing. Today's discussion of Maple transactions is going to be pretty lighthearted and very short, and I want to give time for questions on that. So most people here know that anytime I give a talk on any subject whatsoever, I always make this announcement. I have this announcement about Maple Transactions, which is an open access journal with no page charges, and the directory of open access journals says, no, you have to say not just no page charges, but no fees of any kind. And that's right. There are no fees of any kind for any readers or any authors. There's no page charges for authors. There's no charges for anybody. It's free for people to publish in and free for people to read. We welcome expositions on topics of interest to the Maple community. And that's you, including in computer-assisted research in mathematics, education, and applications. And we do have a special student corner, and so student projects are especially welcome. Now, if you are an associate or senior editor, when you give talks, I'd like you to be reminding people of the existence of Maple transactions as well. 5 years is not a long time in the history of a journal. We're clearly still just getting started. I'm really pleased with the amount of interesting material that we have published in Maple Transactions in these first little time. And we'll do a little tour later of what's been published already. Before I do that, though, I want to talk a little bit about why the journal exists. The journal exists because there is a need for it. So we need to have open access journals to fight back against the predatory publisher industry. And unfortunately, this predatory publishing industry has noticed that there's a spot. The way to make money is you get between the talent and the money. And they say, okay, let's get between the talent and the money and charge for access to the services. And unfortunately, they've managed to become parasites on publication in general. So trying to find ways to eliminate the parasites is one of the reasons to do this. So see this wonderful paper by Teresa Gomez-Diaz and Tomas Recio on open access in general, and about new ways of publishing, but it's also, stuff for us. Another thing is sustainability. This is a pure electronic publication, so there's actually a low environmental cost for it as well. There's another need that is of concern to me, but maybe not to everybody. A lot of people, the purpose of a journal is a place to say that they published in. And so they can add a line to their CV saying, I published in this wonderful journal of irreproducible results, and therefore they get one more line on their CV. And they don't care if anybody reads that paper or not. That's not what this journal is about. I want people to actually want to read and interact with these publications. They should be worth reading. You should be able to learn things from them, or just enjoy them, or take them as a starting point for some of your own explorations. And so that was one of my goals. And another goal is the fact that our community is, in fact, very broad. So we have lots of people from lots of different ways of trying to understand things. We've got teachers, we have researchers in industry, we have students, we have mathematicians, we have computer scientists, we have engineers, we have people who are none of the above, who just want to interact with mathematics or computational mathematics or math puzzles, or have a problem that they want to solve. And each of us has got something to teach somebody else, and we've all got stuff to learn from everybody else. So this is opening a way to learn from each of the many communities within the Maple community. Okay, this conference is also fantastic. I've really been enjoying this conference. And as usual, we are going to publish works from the Maple conference, but we're going to do it in a slightly different way. So the the call for papers and articles, if I go here, takes us back to the general information. Most of you will have seen this general information package, but you might not have noticed the call for papers and articles. So the call for papers and articles is after the conference. Everyone who gives a presentation will be invited to submit related content to the Maple Transactions Journal for consideration. And we'll review it. If you want to put it in the contribution section, which is unreviewed, that's fine. We can do that as well. But if you want a refereed paper, we will arrange the refereeing and we'll publish it. Now I have to minimize that to go back to here. So there we go. We've decided to publish works as they come in, as regular submissions to Maple Transactions, instead of waiting for everybody from the conference to have a volume as we've done before. There's some advantages to this. Now it'll count as a journal publication, not as a conference proceedings paper. So if you're concerned about the line on your CV, then there it is. And the other thing is, if you submit faster, then it'll get published faster. We've already had some submissions for this conference, and I'm very glad for that. And I'm a little unfair there. Papers are not delayed by other people's slowness. Everybody's got their own schedules and their own things that are going on in their life, so we do that. So please use the appropriate template for the journal, LaTeX, Word, and Paulina has just developed a new version for Maple 2025, and she'll talk about that tomorrow, I understand, or the Jupyter Notebook styles. So we welcome your submissions. I want to talk about some example papers that I think are particularly instructive. One is a paper by Richard Brent, one of my favorite papers in existence anywhere, and I'm really proud and pleased that it's in Maple Transactions. This is a wonderful paper about other people's mistakes. So one of Richard's friends said, "Oh, this is Brent's paper full of mistakes." Yeah, most of them are other people's mistakes. And he talks about, we have this literature of mathematics and its reputation for being infallible. Well, it's not. And you can discover something. And then to be fair to all of the people that he picks on there, he says, here's a case where I made a mistake myself. And so he published that too. So it's a lovely paper, both for reading and as an example of what kinds of papers should be published, I think, in general. Veso's paper, Two-Eyed Seeing, so those of you who attended his invited talk at the 2021 conference may remember that, is a paper on indigenizing mathematics education, and it's done in the Microsoft Word template, so there's an example of doing that. This paper has got one of the highest rates of downloads from the journal, so lots of people are reading this, and I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful paper. And then I have a paper of my own, which is an example with a student, actually, Johan Joby, which is an example of using the Jupyter Notebook. So we can have a look at that if you want. as I said before, and as you can see from this conference itself, the community is very large, and there's lots of things that people are interested in. New ways to teach, applications, student activities, people's stories. You may want to just come in and say, well, I used Maple to solve this problem back when I was a teenager, and it stuck with me. And okay, now can we do it a little better now? So I don't know. I'm sending your papers. We'd like to see what you have to say. I do want to talk a little bit about how the thing is structured, and so I'll do that with an example paper. And the example paper is one of mine and Michelle Hatzel's, and I'll click on the link in a moment. But I have to say, that we were using this to generate candidate images, and a candidate has been chosen. So this book will be published early next year by myself and Nick Filion. And the image that you see on the cover was generated in Maple. And the story of how it was generated is in this paper. So we get a little tour of Maple Transactions itself here. So what happens when a paper is published in the Maple Transactions is we choose an image for the landing page. So we chose this image out of the ones from the paper as the landing page image. And you see that's similar to the one that was chosen for the cover of the book. When we were doing this paper, we didn't know what the overall design of the cover was going to be. We were just making candidate images for the book. So that was the purpose of the paper. And we have the Maple worksheet, 2 Maple worksheets that are associated with it. And the way they're published in Maple Transactions is that we provide links to the Maple cloud. So I could click on this and it would take me to the Maple cloud, where we have the let's do the oscillatory case. So if you just click here, everybody knows how the Maple Cloud goes. Actually, I don't know that everybody who's attending here knows how the Maple Cloud goes. The Maple Cloud is a very nice way of sharing Maple worksheets and workbooks. And you can actually look at them on the web, and you don't have to have a copy of Maple to see the results provided there. Or if you do have a copy, you can download the things that go back. So see if the back button gets me back. Yes. Okay. So we have links to Maple worksheets or to the PDF. This PDF was done in LaTeX originally, and the LaTeX template is on Overleaf. So those of you who like to work in LaTeX, the template for the Maple Transactions is available. And you can tell that Michelle and I had a lot of fun trying to figure out what designs we should use for the cover. And I kind of wish I had seen David Linder's talk from today before we did this, because some of the designs, it actually took a little bit of computing time to do. So there was that. So the other thing that we provide for papers is author bios. And I discovered today that neither Michelle nor I had put our bio on this paper, so I quickly unpublished and put the bios back on. So although I unpublished and republished it today, the original publication date, December 31st, 2024, is still there. So that's an important thing. Once you publish it up there, even if you find an error, you can fix it. It's not gonna cause too much problems. If we had made an error in the paper and made a revised version of the paper, we can publish a revised version of the paper, and that shows up here with version numbers on that. So just fixing the bio, that doesn't count as revising the paper. That's fine. I also want to show you the search button. If we search for Jürgen Gerhardt, we find a number of papers by Jürgen. So that one is a Maple worksheet. You have the What's New in 2022 and a paper with Ryan Sanford and Mark Moreno. So search is better than than browsing sometimes, if you know what you're looking for. But browsing is good too. Let me go back there. And that ends my formal presentation, and I'm very happy to take questions now. Thank you very much for listening. Oh, we have questions in the chat. Yay.
Uh, yes, Rob, thank you very much for for your remarks. There's a few comments in the chat. Bill mentioned that worksheets are also interactive on Maple Cloud if you use embedded components. Yeah, some of us who saw Bill's talk yesterday know that he has his worksheet, a workbook available there, which is great. Robert asked about the submission formats. You had mentioned Notebook, but maybe you meant Maple Worksheet or Maple Workbook, or
Nope.
both, because
Nope. Maple workbooks, Maple worksheets, and Maple documents are all acceptable, but so is a Jupyter Notebook. So maybe I
yes.
should share that one in.
I think the submissions information on our on Maple Transactions webpage needs to be updated with
Oh
that.
no. Okay, yes, that's true. Let me just show
Yeah.
people what a Maple workbook looks like. Um, or the Jupyter Notebook. So here we have the HTML, which is exported from a Jupyter Notebook or the Jupyter Notebook itself. So if we just click on the Jupyter Notebook, you download the Jupyter Notebook directly. So if you have uh, uh, Jupyter, then you can access it. If you don't, then you just read the HTML. And this is, of course, Markdown within the Jupyter Notebook. And the format is much the same as for the Maple Workbook or for Microsoft Word. And the neat thing about HTML, of course, is that it reflows. So if I resize the screen, the thing automatically reflows, which PDFs don't do. Right. So this is, you can read these things on your phone. So it's a nice version uh, of papers. I think it's amazing that somebody would want to read a math paper on their phone.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of us. We need to update our website with that information. Oh.
Continually.
Yes. Right. Are there other questions for Rob? You can put them in the chat or unmute and speak up. Yeah. Um, so Rob, maybe I was thinking you had already mentioned this, but maybe re-emphasize the point about we accept other things than fully refereed papers, especially from conference attendees. We're not doing the full proceedings because we wanted this more flexible way, and some people who might not have submitted a who don't have the time to write a full paper or could still contribute other aspects of their talks.
Sure.
Mm.
So let's just take a typical issue. So none of my papers count as refereed papers. So we decided that there wasn't a reasonable way for the editor-in-chief to set up a regular way of at arm's length refereeing. So none of my papers are refereed. We have featured contributions. So these are usually invited papers, and they come in and we invite people and we expect them to do a really good job. So the question of whether that's refereed or whether we're just helping them prepare the best job there is, it doesn't matter. An invited paper is better than a refereed paper. Then we have refereed papers, and the refereeing, uh, typically we would have two or maybe three referees, and they would look at just a normal refereeing process. People would look and make sure that the proper literature is cited and the work is as original as claimed, and there are no mistakes that the referees detect, and it's done to normal academic standards. So we have a computational art section. So Juani's video here was not refereed. It's in a different thing. The student corner, uh, some students prefer to send in their papers as refereed, in which case it just goes in the refereed contribution section. But student papers will get, if they declare as students, they will get a much more friendly kind of refereeing. Here, let's help you build the paper up. In this particular case, because it was a student of mine, actually a student of David's, but I wrote the paper, it counts as being unrefereed. So here is a communication that came in that is not refereed. Perceptions on the adoption of free open source software policies by a scientific institution, case study of the National Institute of Health. So this was deliberately done in an unrefereed way. Refereeing is not necessary. Then of course I wrote a little remembrance for my student Piers Lawrence, but that wasn't refereed either, although I did send it to his widow. Uh,
Um, Rob, there's a couple more questions that appeared in the chat.
sure.
Bill asks, how does one become a reviewer for Maple Transactions? Love that question. We're always looking for reviewers, right?
I would basically we ask you, and I think I've asked you to be a handling editor at least once, but you were off on some trip for wandering around. So you will get your chance, Bill. Uh, if people want to make it known to us that you're willing to be referees, please let us know. We are always, as Paulina says, we are always looking for referees. One of the standard ways is you look and see what the who is being cited by the person, or you go and check your own circle of acquaintances to see who knows something about it. So you find referees and you ask them. I see Patrick is asking what is the target time for the reviews to be completed. I've just rewritten the policies. The policy says 4 weeks. I originally wanted a shorter time than that, but just people are too busy. They really can't do it in 3 weeks or less. 4 weeks is now the official time. And if they need more time, let us know. That's the thing for there. So, and I see Michelle has put the link to submissions into the chat. So thank you, Michelle.
Okay, and for the submissions website, yeah, we'll get someone to update with Jupyter Notebook and also the new 2025 Maple template.
Thank you very much for doing that, by the way.
And there's an observation from Melvin. I don't know if you can see that in the chat, Rob.
Yeah, yeah. No matter how great the software is, the more people want software to do. Yeah, that's an invariant. Nick Trefethan says that about computing speed. So that as the computers double in speed every 18 months, according to Moore's law, just people's expectations of what the kinds of problems they wanted to solve went faster than that. So it's you always wanted better software no matter what, too, just to get things working. We did a survey a long time ago. Which was more important for computing, speed or correctness? And uh, I think it was something like 92% of the respondents said speed was more important, and 8% said correctness was more important, and nobody at all was undecided. So what do you want? I want the correct answer and I want it now. Yeah.
Well, Rob, we're getting close to the end of the session. Are there any last things you want to say?
Please submit papers for Maple transactions and come and volunteer to help. Let us know that you want to help. There's a list of new pending associate editors. I just haven't sent emails. There are people that are expecting the invitations. I'm going to be sending those out shortly.